Stand in Rome today, and you're standing on nearly 3,000 years of history. Every street, every building, every stone sits on top of layer after layer of civilization. There's a joke locals tell. You can't build anything in Rome without hitting something ancient. Dig a hole for a new subway line, you'll find a temple. Start construction on an apartment building, you'll uncover an emperor's villa. The past is everywhere. You can't escape it. But rewind almost 3,000 years, and there's nothing here. Just 7 hills along a bend in the Tiber River. Marshland, a few scattered villages. No grand buildings, no empire. Just farmers trying to make a living. So what happened? How does a cluster of mud huts become the most powerful empire in ancient history? How does a city get sacked by barbarians, yet refuse to die? How does it transform from pagan capital to the center of Christianity? Then Renaissance art, then fascism, and finally modern democracy? For centuries, we could only imagine what ancient Rome looked like. Crumbling ruins, faded frescoes, marble fragments scattered across the Forum. But using AI technology trained on archaeological evidence and historical records, we can now reconstruct these lost worlds. The gleaming marble temples, the crowded streets of the Republic, the grandeur of imperial processions. You're about to see Rome as it actually was, brought back to life from fragments and scholarship. This is the story of Rome, a city that's been conquered, burned, rebuilt, reinvented, and reborn again and again for 3 millennia. From myth to republic to empire. From collapse to papal power to Mussolini's madness. Through glory and catastrophe, Rome kept surviving. Let's go back to the beginning. According to legend, Rome was founded on April 21st, 753 BC by twin brothers named Romulus and Remus. The story goes like this. Their mother, Rhea Silvia, was a Vestal virgin, a priestess sworn to celibacy. She was raped by Mars, the god of war, and gave birth to the twins. Her uncle, King Amulius, wanted them dead because they threatened his throne. He ordered them drowned in the Tiber River. But the servants couldn't do it. Instead, they put the babies in a basket and set them adrift. The basket washed ashore at the base of the Palatine Hill, where a she-wolf found them and nursed them. Later, a shepherd named Faustulus discovered the boys and raised them. When they grew up, Romulus and Remus killed Amulius and decided to found a new city. But they argued about where to build it. According to some versions, Remus mocked his brother by jumping over the low wall Romulus had started building. Romulus killed him in a rage. And so Rome was founded in fratricide, brother killing brother. Romulus became the first king and named the city after himself. It's a great story. It's probably not true. Modern scholars are pretty skeptical. The legend wasn't even written down until centuries after it supposedly happened. The earliest version comes from the Roman historian Livy, writing over 700 years later. Different Roman writers tell different versions that contradict each other. But here's what's interesting. Archaeology shows there really was a settlement on the Palatine Hill around the mid-8th century BC, roughly 750 BC. Excavations have found remains of ancient huts and walls dating to this period. Some archaeologists, like Andrea Carandini, have even argued that parts of the legend might reflect real events. Maybe not a she-wolf and twins, but perhaps a real founder who established a walled settlement around this time. What we know for sure is this. By the late 8th century BC, small villages on Rome's 7 hills were gradually merging into a single community. it wasn't founded in a day by one person. It grew slowly, organically, as these hilltop settlements realized they were stronger together. For its first 2.5 centuries, Rome was ruled by kings. 7 of them, according to tradition. Some were probably real, others legendary. The last king, Tarquinius Superbus, Tarquin the Proud, was supposedly so tyrannical that the Romans overthrew him in 509 BC. After expelling the king, they made a decision that would shape Rome forever. Never again would they be ruled by a single man. They established a republic. The Roman Republic wasn't a democracy in the modern sense. It was more like an aristocratic oligarchy. 2 consuls shared executive power, elected annually. The Senate, made up of wealthy patricians, advised them and controlled finances. Various assemblies gave citizens some voting rights, though wealthy votes counted more than poor votes. It was messy, inefficient, full of political conflict between patricians and plebeians. But it worked well enough that Rome went from a small city-state to master of the Mediterranean world. How? Military conquest. Constant, relentless military expansion. In 390 BC, Rome suffered a devastating blow when Gauls invaded and sacked the city. It was a humiliation Rome never forgot. But they rebuilt, and they learned. Over the next centuries, Rome conquered the Italian peninsula bit by bit. Then they turned their attention beyond Italy. The Punic Wars against Carthage defined Roman expansion. Carthage, a North African trading power, controlled much of the Western Mediterranean. Rome wanted it. The First Punic War lasted 23 years. The Second Punic War is the famous one. Hannibal crossed the Alps with elephants and nearly destroyed Rome. For 15 years, from 218 to 203 BC, Hannibal rampaged through Italy, winning battle after battle. At Cannae in 216 BC, he slaughtered perhaps 50,000 Roman soldiers in a single day. But Rome didn't surrender. They kept raising new armies. They changed tactics. Eventually, they invaded North Africa, forcing Hannibal home. At Zama in 202 BC, the Roman general Scipio finally defeated him. By the end of the Third Punic War in 146 BC, Carthage was completely destroyed. The city was burned, the population enslaved. Rome dominated the Mediterranean. But this expansion created problems. Wealth poured into Rome from conquered territories, but it didn't benefit everyone equally. A small elite became obscenely wealthy while many ordinary citizens struggled. Veterans returned from wars to find their farms had been bought up by aristocrats. Political tensions exploded. Brothers Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus tried to implement land reforms to help the poor. Both were murdered by their political opponents. Violence became the new norm in Roman politics. Then came the civil wars, a series of ambitious generals, Marius, Sulla, Pompey, used their armies to fight for power. The Republic was tearing itself apart. Enter Julius Caesar. Caesar was a brilliant general, a skilled politician, and an ambitious man. Between 58 and 50 BC, he conquered Gaul, roughly modern-day France, adding massive territory to Rome. His military success made him popular with soldiers and common people, but it terrified the Senate. In 49 BC, the Senate ordered Caesar to disband his army and return to Rome as a private citizen. He refused. On January 10th, 49 BC, he crossed the Rubicon River with his army, an act of treason that meant there was no turning back. "The die is cast," he reportedly said. Civil war erupted. Caesar's forces fought armies loyal to the Senate and his former ally Pompey. Caesar won. Pompey fled to Egypt, where he was murdered. By 45 BC, Caesar controlled Rome. He was appointed Dictator Perpetuo, dictator for life. He reformed the calendar, redistributed land, extended Roman citizenship, started ambitious building projects. He was consolidating power in a way that looked an awful lot like monarchy. This terrified the traditionalists. The whole point of the Republic was that no single man should hold absolute power. They'd expelled a king centuries ago. They weren't about to let Caesar become one. On March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March, Caesar attended a Senate meeting at the Theater of Pompey. Around 60 senators were in on the plot. As Caesar entered, they surrounded him. They stabbed him 23 times with daggers hidden beneath their togas. According to some accounts, Caesar saw his protege Marcus Brutus among the attackers and said, "Et tu, Brute? You too, Brutus?" The assassins called themselves liberators. They believed they were saving the Republic from tyranny. Instead, they just killed it. Caesar's death triggered another round of civil wars. His supporters, led by Mark Antony and Caesar's adopted heir Octavian, hunted down the assassins. At the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC, Brutus and Cassius were defeated. Both committed suicide. Then Antony and Octavian turned on each other. Antony allied with Cleopatra of Egypt. Octavian painted them as threats to Rome itself. In 31 BC, at the Battle of Actium, Octavian's forces crushed them. Antony and Cleopatra fled to Egypt and committed suicide in 30 BC. Octavian stood alone. He had all the power Caesar had dreamed of, but he was smarter about how he used it. In 27 BC, he appeared before the Senate and offered to return all his powers to them. They refused, of course. The whole thing was political theater. Instead, they gave him a new title, Augustus, meaning the revered one. The Roman Republic was dead. The Roman Empire was born. Augustus ruled for 41 years, from 27 BC to 14 AD. He transformed Rome from a city of brick into a city of marble. He brought peace after decades of civil war. The Pax Romana, Roman peace. The empire thrived. Trade flourished. Cities grew. Infrastructure expanded. Roads, aqueducts, bridges. At its height around 117 AD under Emperor Trajan, the Roman Empire controlled territory from Britain to Mesopotamia, from the Rhine to North Africa. Rome itself became a city of 1 million people, massive, crowded, diverse. The Colosseum, built between 70 and 80 AD, could hold 50,000 spectators for gladiator fights and public spectacles. The Pantheon, rebuilt by Emperor Hadrian around 125 AD, still stands today with its massive dome, a marvel of Roman engineering. But the empire also produced some truly terrible emperors. Caligula, who ruled from 37 to 41 AD, was probably insane. Ancient historians claim he made his horse a senator, had sex with his sisters, and declared himself a living god. He was assassinated by his own guards. Nero, emperor from 54 to 68 AD, was equally deranged. He murdered his mother, kicked his pregnant wife to death, and supposedly played his lyre while Rome burned in the Great Fire of 64 AD. He blamed Christians for the fire and had them persecuted, thrown to wild animals in the arena, or burned alive as human torches. He eventually committed suicide as his own people turned against him. Commodus, son of the philosopher Emperor Marcus Aurelius, ruled from 180 to 192 AD. He believed he was the reincarnation of Hercules. He fought as a gladiator in the arena, which shocked Roman sensibilities. Emperors weren't supposed to perform like common entertainers. He was eventually strangled to death by a wrestler. Christianity was growing during this period, despite persecution. It started as a small Jewish sect in a remote corner of the empire. According to Christian tradition, St. Peter came to Rome and was crucified upside down during Nero's persecution around 64 AD. He was buried on Vatican Hill, where St. Peter's Basilica stands today. For 3 centuries, Christians faced waves of persecution, but they kept growing. In 312 AD, Emperor Constantine had a vision before a crucial battle. He saw a cross in the sky with the words, "In this sign, conquer." He won the battle and converted to Christianity. In 313 AD, Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, legalizing Christianity throughout the empire. By 380 AD, Emperor Theodosius made Christianity the official state religion. The pagan Roman Empire had become Christian. But even as Christianity triumphed, the empire itself was falling apart. By the 3rd century, Rome faced crisis on every front. Barbarian invasions, economic collapse, political chaos. Between 235 and 284 AD, a period called the Crisis of the 3rd century, Rome had over 50 emperors, most of whom died violently. In 285 AD, Emperor Diocletian tried to fix things by splitting the empire in 2, western and eastern halves, each with its own ruler. It helped briefly. But the problems were too deep. The Western Empire was broke. Tax revenues collapsed. The army couldn't be paid properly. Increasingly, Rome hired Germanic mercenaries, barbarians, to defend its borders. But these soldiers felt no loyalty to Rome. In 376 AD, things got worse. The Huns, fierce horsemen from Central Asia, invaded Europe. They pushed Germanic tribes like the Goths westward, right into Roman territory. Rome allowed some Goths to settle inside the empire as refugees, but treated them terribly. The Goths revolted. In 378 AD, at the Battle of Adrianople, they destroyed a Roman army and killed Emperor Valens. It was a disaster Rome never fully recovered from. On August 24th, 410 AD, the Visigoth leader Alaric did something that hadn't happened in 800 years. He sacked Rome. His army plundered the city for 3 days. It was a psychological shock that reverberated across the empire. Rome, the eternal city, could be conquered. In 455 AD, the Vandals sacked Rome again, this time even more thoroughly. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire was a hollow shell. The emperor controlled little more than Italy. On September 4th, 476 AD, a Germanic general named Odoacer deposed the last Western Roman emperor, a teenager named Romulus Augustulus. Odoacer sent the imperial regalia back to Constantinople and declared himself king of Italy. There would be no more emperors in the West. The Western Roman Empire was over. It had lasted nearly 500 years. Historians debate whether fall is even the right word. Life didn't suddenly stop. The church remained. Cities continued functioning, though they shrank. Trade networks decayed but didn't disappear completely. In many ways, Roman civilization just slowly transformed into something else. But the political entity called the Western Roman Empire, the government, the legions, the unified administration, was gone. Meanwhile, the Eastern Roman Empire, ruled from Constantinople, survived another 1,000 years. We call it the Byzantine Empire. But Rome itself, it became a shadow. The city that had once held 1 million people shrank to maybe 20,000 by the early Middle Ages. Aqueducts broke down. The Colosseum became a quarry where people mined stone for new buildings. Cows grazed in the Forum. For centuries, Rome was a backwater. Important, yes, because the Pope lived there, but not powerful, not wealthy, not impressive. Then came the Renaissance. By the 15th century, the popes decided Rome needed to reflect the Church's glory. They commissioned the greatest artists of the age to transform the city. In 1506, Pope Julius II, known as the Warrior Pope, because he personally led armies into battle, laid the foundation stone for a new St. Peter's Basilica. The old basilica, built by Constantine in the 4th century, was crumbling. Julius wanted something grander, much grander. He hired Donato Bramante as architect. The project was so ambitious, it took 120 years to complete and required the work of multiple architects, including Michelangelo and Raphael. Julius also commissioned Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel ceiling. Michelangelo didn't want the job. He considered himself a sculptor, not a painter. He tried to escape to Florence. The Pope's agents tracked him down and forced him back to Rome. From 1508 to 1512, Michelangelo painted over 5,000 square feet of ceiling, creating some of the most iconic images in Western art. The creation of Adam, the Last Judgment, 343 figures total. He worked lying on his back on scaffolding nearly 70 feet in the air. The physical strain was enormous. Paint dripped in his face. His neck and back were in constant pain. He and Julius fought constantly. The Pope even struck him with his staff during one argument. But when it was finished, it was breathtaking. It remains one of humanity's greatest artistic achievements. Raphael painted the Vatican rooms at the same time. Michelangelo also designed the dome of St. Peter's Basilica, though he died before it was completed in 1590. His dome remains the tallest in the world, 448 feet high. This wasn't just about art. The popes were displaying their wealth and power. The Protestant Reformation was challenging Catholic authority. Northern Europe was breaking away from Rome. The popes responded by making Rome more magnificent than ever. But this magnificence came at a cost. The Church sold indulgences, essentially paying money to reduce time in purgatory to fund these projects. This practice so offended Martin Luther that he nailed his 95 Theses to a church door in Germany in 1517, sparking the Reformation. Rome doubled down. The Counter-Reformation reinforced Catholic doctrine and made Rome the symbolic center of Catholic Christianity worldwide. By 1600, Rome had transformed. Baroque churches, grand palaces, elaborate fountains, Bernini's colonnades in St. Peter's Square, Caravaggio's paintings in churches across the city. Rome wasn't politically powerful anymore. Italian city-states like Florence and Venice were wealthier. But Rome was still Rome, the center of Catholicism, the heir to the ancient empire, a city of art, history, and pilgrimage. For centuries, the Pope didn't just lead the Church. He ruled a large chunk of central Italy called the Papal States. The Pope was both a religious and political leader, That changed in the 19th century. Italy was divided into multiple kingdoms and states. A unification movement called the Risorgimento, resurgence, aimed to unite Italy into one nation. In 1861, most of Italy unified under King Victor Emmanuel II. But Rome remained under papal control, protected by French troops. In 1870, during the Franco-Prussian War, France withdrew its troops. Italian forces entered Rome on September 20th. After a brief battle, the city surrendered. Rome became the capital of a unified Italy. Pope Pius IX retreated to the Vatican and declared himself a prisoner. He and his successors refused to recognize the Italian state for nearly 60 years. This standoff, called the Roman Question, wasn't resolved until 1929, when Mussolini signed the Lateran Treaty. The Pope recognized Italy, and Italy recognized Vatican City as an independent state. At 0.17 square miles, it's the world's smallest country. By then, Italy was under fascist rule. Benito Mussolini came to power in 1922 after the March on Rome, when thousands of his black shirts marched on the capital. King Victor Emmanuel III, fearing civil war, appointed Mussolini prime minister. Within a few years, Mussolini had dismantled democracy and established a dictatorship. Mussolini was obsessed with Rome's ancient glory. He wanted to recreate the Roman Empire. He built the Via dei Fori Imperiali, a massive road that cut straight through the ancient Forum so he could parade troops past Roman ruins. He claimed he was restoring Rome's greatness. In reality, he was leading Italy to disaster. He allied with Hitler's Germany, invaded Ethiopia, and dragged Italy into World War II in 1940. By 1943, the war was going badly. Allied forces invaded Sicily. On July 25, 1943, the Italian government arrested Mussolini. German forces rescued him and installed him as a puppet ruler in northern Italy. On June 4, 1944, Allied forces entered Rome. Unlike many cities, Rome was largely spared from heavy bombing, partly because of its religious significance, partly because both sides wanted to preserve its ancient monuments. In April 1945, as Allied and partisan forces closed in, Mussolini tried to flee to Switzerland. Partisans captured him and his mistress, Clara Petacci, on April 28, 1945. They were shot and their bodies were hung upside down in Milan's Piazzale Loreto. Italy was in ruins, hundreds of thousands dead. The economy shattered. The monarchy was abolished in 1946. Italy became a republic. Rome began rebuilding again. Post-war Rome transformed. The 1950s and 60s brought economic recovery. Italy's economic miracle. Rome became a symbol of Italian style and culture. The city grew rapidly. Suburbs sprawled outward. By the 1960s, Rome's population exceeded 2 million for the first time since antiquity. The Vatican also changed. Pope John XXIII called the Second Vatican Council in 1962-65, modernizing Catholic practice. Latin Mass was replaced with services in local languages. The Church engaged more with the modern world. In 1978, Cardinal Karol Wojtyła of Poland became Pope John Paul II, the first non-Italian pope in 455 years. His 27-year papacy made him one of the most recognizable figures on earth. Today, Rome is a city of contradictions. Ancient ruins sit next to modern apartments. Tourists flood the Colosseum and Trevi Fountain. Traffic is chaotic. Public services struggle. Bureaucracy is legendary, but Rome endures. Nearly 3 million people live here. Over 10 million tourists visit annually. The city generates billions in tourism revenue. You can still walk Roman roads built 2,000 years ago. Stand in the Pantheon under a dome that stood for 19 centuries. Worship in churches built on sites where early Christians died as martyrs. Layers upon layers of history, all existing simultaneously. From Seven Hills to a world empire. From the fall to papal power, to Renaissance glory, to fascist nightmare, to modern democracy. Rome has been destroyed and rebuilt more times than almost any city in history. Sacked by Gauls, sacked by Visigoths, sacked by Vandals, conquered by Byzantines, occupied by Nazis, liberated by allies. Yet it survives. Maybe because Rome was never just one thing. It was pagan, then Christian. Republic, then empire. Papal capital, then national capital. Ancient ruins and modern metropolis. Rome is what you make of it. A pilgrimage site, a tourist destination, a living museum. Nearly 3,000 years since Romulus supposedly founded it. Still standing, still changing, still Rome. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through Rome's incredible history, hit subscribe. Let me know in the comments what city you'd like to see next. As always, we'll see you in the past.